All right, I think we're going to start. Thanks so much for coming on and chatting with me today. I'm so excited. I'm really pleased to be able to share all this with you today. So today we're going to talk about whipping up a simple business. I have these strange analogies. I tend towards strange analogies. And a lot of them have to do with food. So what you're going to find is I talk a little bit about kitchen and a little bit about work, and that's kind of my normal. But in this case, it's really about steps for creating a business that is cleaner, more orderly, and more effective today. There are lots of simple things that can be done in your day-to-day that will help everything be simpler and more effective than it might be right now. We're all on a continuum all the time of trying to get more effective, right? So first I want to tell you a story about two kitchens and really two businesses. In the first kitchen, and this is what my kitchen looks like sometimes. In the first kitchen, all the ingredients are out, right? Like I made muffins yesterday. This is what my kitchen looked like. In the first kitchen, all the ingredients are out. Like the guy cooking says, like somebody says, I want eggs, and he says, sure. And somebody else says, I want pancakes, and he says, sure. And so, there's stuff everywhere. You lose track of what's where in process. Everything is edible, right? Like most things come out okay. But then at the same time, like maybe not much is great. Every now and then something is stellar, but not all the time. And there's no real plan. It's just like all on the fly. And because of that, the poor chef in this kitchen, which looks a lot like me sometimes, walks in circles, and it's like, oh, I went to that cupboard and got that ingredient. Oh, I need to go back to that cupboard and get that another ingredient. Oh, I need to go back to that cupboard and get another ingredient. And there's, a fair amount of extra work where it's like, oh, wait, you know what? Oops. So then we have a second kitchen. It's sort of like the kitchen of the guy on TV, right? The chef kitchen. When they're making something, there's only what they need to make out at any given moment, right? I don't know what's happening. Sorry, while I'm talking, I have people joining, and I'm happy to have you. Like, hi, guys. And I'm breaking things as I'm doing it here because I'm having problems with my mouse on top of everything else. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong now. Oh, Lord. I don't want to mute you, but you guys, I don't know. Hi, friends. I messed it all up somehow. So at any rate, in the second kitchen, there's like, you're only taking out the ingredients that you need. There's kind of a menu, right? Like every now and then something special, but there is a menu. There's a plan. You know where the tools are. You go to get them when you need them, and you just go get that tool or all the things you need out of that cabinet at once. And all the stuff coming out of the kitchen is good. There's a restaurant we love here, when we used to go to restaurants, right? Remember that? And it's an open kitchen, and I love to watch the head chef there because I feel like he never moves fast. It's always very measured. He knows exactly the order he's doing things in. He knows which thing comes first. And it's like, oh, he's like what I aspire to be in the kitchen, right? All of these things about a kitchen also apply to a business. So if we think about it, in the first business, imagine it like the first kitchen. You're trying all the things. And if you're trying all the things, something's going to work, right? We could try them all. It's like cooking all the dishes. One of them is going to be edible. And if somebody says to you, hey, I need this, you think well, I don't really do that, but I could. I guess I could make one of those. There's a lot of things started, just like you start a bunch of dishes when things are crazy, but not everything comes all the way down the pike. There's not a lot getting finished. There's not a lot great coming out. And there's not a really solid plan of attack. It's just sort of like putting out kitchen fires as they come up. And because of that, there's a fair amount of extra work. You end up recircling and finishing something and going oh, well, I didn't really finish that. The thing is just sometimes we all have the first kitchen. And sometimes, especially if it's a dish you know really well, you have the second kitchen. No one person is either one or the other. Sometimes all of our businesses look like this first one. Like I know some days mine does, where like I'm trying all the things and like I'm throwing things and there's paper everywhere and it's a crap ton of stuff all over the place. There's no judgment of any of this. It's just that most of us aspire to be more like the second one. In the second business, it's a lot like the second kitchen. It's very intentional about time and energy. And just like that chef knows, not everything matters the same, so you don't do everything the same way. In the second business, you do what you're best at for the people you know it works best for. You start what you need to start when you need to start it. And you carry those things through when to be done. You know what to do in what order, and you do what's needed when it's needed. No person is all either one business or the other. No person in their kitchen is either one kitchen or the other. We're all on this continuum where we're trying to go from here, from this first business, to the second. And it would be really nice, right, to live in this second business all the time. But we don't get to live there all the time. So, what we do is we make small steps over and over and over again to move ourselves down this continuum. Then the question is, so how do we get from business one to business two more often? What do you do when you're feeling like that chef that's got flour everywhere? Like, you should have seen my kitchen yesterday. I made a new recipe a friend suggested. She was like, you're going to love these muffins. They're great. Oh my gosh, I should have known she'd use every ingredient in the house in every pan to make muffins. Oh God, my husband was like, what happened? It was 7 a.m. So I aspire to be more of the second business in the second kitchen. You probably do too. How do you get there? For me, there are 3 things that happen. The first is things need to get cleaner, right? Oh, look at me trying to move stuff around and it's not going well. Things need to get cleaner. The second business is cleaner than the first. The second kitchen is cleaner than the first. There's less like crap everywhere all the time. It needs to get more orderly, right? Where there's a progression. That chef that really knows what they're doing, they do the first thing first, right? They know, which thing they have to turn on the oven first to warm up for this thing, to do that thing. They don't get like everything ready and think like, oh crap, I didn't preheat the oven. Now I'm going to wait. And while I'm doing that, we'll do like, it's not that. It comes in a progression and they're just more efficient. So that second business is more efficient all the way around because you don't do what I did yesterday in my kitchen, which was walk from the corner that I work in around the island to the cupboard where all the baking stuff is in like a continual loop. Like I'm wearing patterns in the floor with all this baking. Because I just walk back and forth to that cupboard because I keep forgetting stuff. Those are the pieces that carry us. So let's talk a little bit about those pieces, right? What does a cleaner business actually look like? Most of us live in like a digital business. So like, what does clean actually mean? Because yes, you have stuff on your desk. I have stuff on my desk. But like, so maybe it's less physical clutter, but actually what it really is clearer. A clean business and somebody that like when your business feels really clean, it's because it feels really, really clear. Everything you're doing makes sense. It all sits right in your mind. And you know from experience as somebody that's running a business that sometimes you're super clear on what you're doing and sometimes you're like, bah, I swim in a puddle of mud. Like, what is it? Why am I here? What do I do? I don't know. And so sometimes you're clearer than others. Whatever, it comes and goes. But this is about just as much physical space as your head. It's really about more in your head than anything else. And all of these things, oddly enough, are going to be. This is about making sure what's in your mind is super clear. I think it's kind of obvious. All of these things are relatively obvious why they actually matter. But I would make a case that when you're clear in how you're thinking, about your business, there's 3 simple questions I'm going to ask you in a second. When you can answer these 3 questions really clearly, everything else gets easier. If you know, think about the chef. He knows, she knows, when they get, I keep picturing the chef at the restaurant we go to all the time. His name is Brian. I keep picturing Brian when I'm thinking of the chef, which is why it's a he. I have a person. He is clear because he knows he's making this dish for this person at this time. Sorry, I have a coworker. Hold on. How may I assist you, coworker? Yes, I'm talking though.
Oh, sorry. My brother is saying mean things about me.
Okay, you guys can tell him to please stop, but listen to me. Just ignore each other.
Okay.
I can't right now.
But he keeps saying them, and then he says something mean to me.
So your job right now needs to be ignore him. I love you.
Well, then I said something to him, and he thought it was mean. And he just said he didn't ignore me, and he got in trouble.
I'll be out in a bit. Okay, co-working. I'm going to check the chat. Under a mud a lot. Yeah, I know that feeling, right? Where you're in that puddle. And I think that what happens when you're in the mud puddle, as it were, where you feel like you're not clear on what you're doing and why it matters, is it kills your confidence. Like, lack of clarity is a confidence killer. And for me, when I talk to a potential client or I talk to a friend and they say to me that they're feeling like they're not confident in anything, 9 times out of 10, like, it comes down to a clarity issue, at least in my mind. When things aren't really clear, you start to get frustrated. And when you start to get frustrated, you start doing things that you're not sure about and they don't go the way you want. And then this spiral of like sitting deeper and deeper in the mud puddle happens, right? So clarity, when you're feeling like you're really not confident, sometimes it really helps to dig back into clarity to be like, oh, okay, wait, I'm not confident because I don't really know what I want to say and do right here. Or maybe you go back and you go, wait, I am really clear. There's nothing squishy in here. I can be confident. So clarity really helps. So like in a practical sense, the way I approach this is there's 3 questions. I actually, like in my head, I answer these questions most days. And here's the thing, like they're really simple questions. This isn't rocket science, but some days it's clearer than others, right? More input comes into us every day. So a lot of times how you answer the questions is based on the inputs you've had. And if all of the inputs have been like, you don't know what you're doing, then it's really hard to answer these questions. But if you come back time and time again to like, what do I do? Who is it for? And why does it matter for them? Then you're super clear on what you're doing. Like, what do I do? Who is it for? And why does it matter? And I will say to you, I know from practice that what do I do and who is it for might be easy, but why does it matter to them can be a deceptively sneaky ninja of a question. Because some days you're like, well, it doesn't, nothing I do matters. But that's not true. It matters to those people for a million reasons. And what you are trying to do with answering this question is come back to that, to why your work has value. So when you're feeling really cluttered, when you're feeling like your business is really messy, I think the answer is clearer thinking. What do you do? Who is it for? Why does it matter? And don't be afraid of like it matters because, it's not about being arrogant. It's not about anything like, it's more about saying with confidence, like, no, I do important things for them. I help them to change. I help them to grow. I help them to be more sure of themselves. I help them to be better for the people around them. I help their business to be stronger. Whatever it is you do, this is where you get to say that. And the key thought to walk away with from this part is that clarity creates confidence. When you're in the mud, your confidence goes down the drain. But when you can grab that clarity and hold on to it regularly, think about projects where you knew exactly what you wanted to do at the end. The whole time through, you were like, nope, this is the process. This feels great. It's because you were clear on where you were going, right? That makes a huge difference. Clarity creates confidence. Okay, so that's step one. We get clean when we get clear. The second thing is more orderly, right? It would be lovely to be in that kitchen where like everything is shiny and there's not flour over the floor and stuff is where it belongs. So what does it really mean to have an orderly business? Well, for me, an orderly business, when I am in a really orderly place, I have my priorities in order. I think orderly is equivalent to prioritized, right? It's about, once again, it's about both like your desk, but like whenever I think of orderly, I think of a teacher I used to work with. Her name is Brenda. You would walk into her room on the regular and it looked like a crazy person bomb went off. She had crap everywhere. She's a science teacher. But you want to know what? If you said to her, Brenda, I need a piece of paper that says these words on it, she would walk into her room and she would go, pink. She knew exactly where everything was. She just didn't prioritize putting it in order because she knew. She didn't need you to know. So that was orderly in her own way. So things may not look orderly sometimes, but they are. But what really matters is priority, right? Because I think we as humans tend to look at a list and imagine everything is equally weighted, and it's just not. There are things on your list that matter more than other things, period. That's like an absolute truth. But we don't always treat them like that, right? So in your business, why does prioritize matter? I think, once again, it's to a degree somewhat obvious. Like for me to say, you would say to me like, well, when things are prioritized, it works better. Well, yeah, of course it does. Why does it really matter? It really matters because it is the way that you think about it. If you think about the chef, think about Brian. When he prioritizes how to make a dish and the things he has to do in what order, which things matter more, that's what creates the amazing, stellar things he cooks at the end. It's about him knowing which things matter the most. And like, if some of the potatoes burn, great. But if the meat is perfect, who cares? He prioritized the main pieces. He prioritizes each, moving part based on how vital it is. Like if something goes wrong with the main center of the plate, it's a problem. But if something goes wrong with something on the side, you do something different, whatever. Yes, it's distractions, right? Where things are like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's really hard to not look at that thing and be like, oh, I want one of them. But prioritize matters because it's what keeps us moving towards the goal. There are two things that happen in prioritized. One thing that goes wrong is that your goal is squishy or it's non-existent, right? And that's what we're going to talk about in a second. Prioritized is really difficult to do when you don't have a clear endpoint. Like Brian gets to prioritize the meal and the order of the pieces because he knows what he's cooking. But if you're trying to prioritize and you don't know where you're going, it's like putting driving on the map and having no destination. It's like, well, we'll get there when we get there. Eek. The other thing that happens is sometimes we know what we need to do. We know, We're like, I know that that's the most important thing today, but we don't want to. We don't want to eat the frog. The frog tastes gross and scary. And like, so you don't. The difference between what the chef does and what we do is that he has to do all those things for the dish to come together. For us, there are times where we think like, I get away with not doing that really scary thing, but it doesn't work. And that's an issue. So how do you go for priority? For me, it really comes down to a goal. Like one, And this is not a new song for me. If you have interacted with me at all, this is a song this is my song. This is my jam right here. Set one goal. One. And then once you have that goal, look at all of the stuff and go like, this thing matters, this thing matters, this thing matters. If Brian is standing in his kitchen and he's making steak and somebody hands him a piece of chicken, he's just going to put it down. He's not making chicken right now. It doesn't matter, right? One of the things that I started doing lately, I have a teaching degree. So one of the things that you learn as a teacher is to write objectives for your lessons plans. And they go like this. They say, at the end of this lesson, students will know. So one of the things I've been doing for myself lately that I think is really interesting is I've sort of unknowingly co-opted that language for myself. And I've started to write, at the end of this month, I will. Like writing it as an outcome. The chicken doesn't matter, see? If you write it as an outcome, at the end of this month, I will have signed 4 new clients. At the end of this month, I will have made this much money. At the end of the month, I will have added this many people to my group. It's like a foregone conclusion. And then you get to go down your list and go, if at the end of this month, I've added 20 more people, did this thing matter? Well, no, it's the chicken. Who cares about the chicken? Put the chicken aside. It is really, really hard to prioritize blindly. Like if Brian is cooking in the kitchen and his eyes are covered, he doesn't know necessarily if he picked up the package of the steak or the package of the chicken. They're both heavy. But if he knows the goal and he's making steak, then somebody hands him a chicken. He's like, whatever, go away. Put the chicken in the fridge, people. He says, no, I don't have to do that right now because it doesn't matter for what I'm doing. It doesn't connect to my goal. If my outcome at the top of my paper is by the end of this month, I will sign 4 new clients, then I get to look at my list. And if on the list something was on there the other day, I don't even remember what it was, and I laughed because I was like, that doesn't belong. That's ridiculous. But it's helped me to prioritize those things. And slowly the things that don't matter, like messing with my website for one, are falling off the list. I just don't care. That's not the place people are finding me. And that's all right. Like, I don't care about Instagram. I would really like my business to be on Pinterest, but right now it has nothing to do with it. It's just that I think Pinterest for business is fun. I don't know. Right now it's not even important. Even if it's the rare, organic, best chicken ever, you're right. What's funny about that, Julie, is like I could take or leave chicken ever. Like I don't want it ever. Like I'm not a big chicken person. Fried chicken, we could talk. But like it doesn't matter how shiny and pretty the chicken is. It doesn't matter how rare. It doesn't matter. And people are trying to get you to pay attention to them through scarcity. They're trying all the mental ninja tricks on you. They're messing with your mind. They're trying. And our jobs as business owners who are prioritizing is to go like, love it, pretty, go you, awesome. I don't need that right now. Actually, somebody sent me a Facebook message the other day and they were like, how are you doing X, Y, or Z? And I was like, thank you so much for reaching out. This is not what I'm doing right now. But when I am, I'll let you know. And I just like, gone. And I moved on. Okay. So if you find yourself going like, I don't know if I should do this or I should do that first. It could be that your goal is too loose. It's too squishy. It could also be that it's just, you haven't adopted it. Sometimes it's like, I'm going to set this goal and I'm going to make $10,000. And then you have to do the things on the list that you have to do to get there, but you haven't really set a goal that you believe and you haven't decided it's your goal. So you do the other things. So you think like, well, I would like to make $10,000, but it's more like a wish than a goal. Set a goal. Goals and wishes aren't the same. Like I wish for a lot of things like cupcake, but that's not going to happen right now. Okay. The one thought after this to walk away with about priority is prioritization creates control. This is the way that as a business owner, we get to decide what matters and what doesn't. This is like the boss thing to do, like the BOSS, capital letters, like the boss thing to do. The boss thing to do is to say, things go in this order. This matters right now, and this doesn't. And I will tell you, saying this matters right now is one thing, but going down your list and going like, I don't care for the chicken, no thank you, is a whole different level of prioritization, right? Saying no is tricky. We like to say yes. We like to please people, and we like to do what they want us to do, and we like to try all the things. Saying no is the hardest part of this, but saying no is the powerful thing. Prioritizing is powerful, and it is the thing for you to try and to say no, and then you walk away and you're like, oh, that felt kind of good, I'm gonna say no more. No was nice, because you protected yourself. No protects your space. All right, so then the last step in here is efficient. So what does efficient look like in a business? For me, it's that you're not walking in circles, right? Where in my kitchen, like I have a tendency to like forget that ingredient over there, put that over there. I move the thing. I like put down the towel. I was on the other side of the house. I have to go get the towel. And like, as happy as my Fitbit is that I'm inefficient, the rest of it is like, oh boy. So the more efficient is about not wasting so much movement. In a digital business, it's about not wasting headspace. You only have so much time and energy, and efficient is using it well. None of us is perfectly efficient. It's just not possible. Like, we aspire to like 100% efficiency. I'm always going to be efficient. And that's just not real, frankly. That's okay. You're never going to be 100% efficient. You don't have to aspire to that. But we can always be more efficient. There is a better to be had. So for me, efficiency is about being purposeful. It's about making choices. When I am being more efficient in my business, I am doing what I am doing with purpose rather than letting momentum take me away. I am not following the river in my inner tube. I am not going, tube rafting down the Delaware here. I am the boss. I am driving the boat. I know where it goes. Okay. Purposeful matters in your business because this is the hardest thing we do. It really is. Like, this is the hardest thing about owning a business, because it is really easy to let momentum take you. It's really easy to listen to the noise out in the internet and go like, oh, so-and-so said I should do that thing next. I should do that thing next, when it may or may not be the right thing for you. It's really easy to follow the path that someone lays in front of you instead of making your own. It's just different. But being purposeful is the most important thing. It's the act of choosing, right? The interesting thing about purposeful in business for me is that, like, being clear and prioritized, those are really things that happen largely in your head. Purposeful is like the outcome from this. Purposeful is clear, prioritized, do. This is the do step, right? This is where you choose and you move forward. And here's what happens in purposeful. Sometimes we do and we move forward, and then we go like, oh, I can't believe I just did that. Holy crap. So it's about continuing to walk forward anyways, and to learn as we go purposefully, with a reason, with a purpose, with a thought, right? It's putting your feet down as you're walking and then standing in that spot. So how do we get more purposeful? Honestly, it's about try the thing, see how it went, refine it, and do it again. It is about try it, think about how it went, do it again. Try it, think about how it went, do it again. Here's the thing. There is nothing on your list that's a high priority that you only do once. There just isn't. In a business that you're trying to grow, the things that are most important, the meeting people, the getting people on the phone to have initial calls, the getting people into your group, those things never come off the list. They just are. They are continual experiments. So what you get to do is treat it like one. It's science, where you practice, you do the thing, you see what the results were like, And then you do some more. You try a little different. You do a different part of the experiment and you keep going. Here's the thing that I would encourage you not to do though. This is not about looking at Facebook engagement or LinkedIn. This is not about looking at how many people saw your post and going like, nobody saw that post and that was wrong. Not what it's about. It's not. I had a consult call yesterday with a woman who had been following me on LinkedIn, but wasn't connected and like has been watching all these things through my business page, but isn't following it. I have no idea she was out there. None. She engages zero before Wednesday. Today's Friday. Like zero. So me looking at engagement numbers, I would have missed her entirely. Who knew she was out there? I didn't. I'll never know with those people. They're just out there. There are people that don't engage with us until they do. So looking at that Facebook, like, this is my engagement number. It's not serving you. Once a month, twice a month, maybe. The rest of the time, stop. This is about checking in as an evaluation in terms of like, okay, so I spent this week doing these things to get more people into my group. How did it go? What worked? What didn't? What did I learn? Okay, what do I want to do next week? And then continuing to iterate, right? It's that continual grow and learn and refine. That's what being purposeful is. You're purposeful when you're pulling all the learning out. It's like squeezing a lemon, where you take like the lemon and you go like, I learned from this lemon, and you like squeeze, 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 squeeze until you get all the good out of it. You just like, you know, like you hug a little baby with the cheeks, right? You just want to squeeze them. So we just keep at it. And the key thought here is that consistency really is truly magical. Consistency, and I say this a lot, is the secret sauce of business. It is like the magic ingredient in your kitchen. Because think about the chef. The chef, the first time they make a dish, the dish is crap, truly. So they don't go like, this dish was crap, I'm never going to make it again. I might, like if I make something, it's like, ooh, that was terrible, I probably don't make it again. But in a professional chef's kitchen, they go like, that was crap. What was wrong with it? They take the organic chicken and they make something and it was terrible. And they go like, let me try that again. I wonder what went wrong. They get all sciencey and they don't back off. They double down. They go, that was weird. I wonder what happened. Let me try something different. Let me less salt, more this. You know, and they test it and they refine it and they refine it and they refine it. And then, you know, on the 10th iteration, maybe it's like the bomb. This is what consistency does. It's the sticking with it even when it's ugly, right? I have a little mini meditation I do most mornings. Yesterday, it was about courage. And this idea that courage is moving forward even when there's fear, right? Consistency takes courage. It's the courageous thing to do, to be consistent, because it is really easy to try something once, have it not work, and then be like, sorry, it was terrible. To try that new dish and to be like, it was crappy. Or you can go, I wonder what I could have fixed. I wonder how we could do this differently. Let me mush it around a little bit and play with it. And that's the trick to purposeful. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. It matters that much that I'm going to do it first. And now when it happens, I want to continue forward with it. That's the key. So those are our 3 ingredients. Tell me what questions you have. Tell me what thoughts you have. What do you think? Move my papers. I've got papers everywhere. This is where you don't want to see my desk today because it's embarrassing. Well, I don't see a ton of questions. So I'm just going to take a moment and tell you guys a little about what I do. I work with business owners to clarify what they do, their goals, particularly. I'm a big goal fan, as you can see, and to move into that purposeful action so that you can actually grow. We do this through weekly one-on-one coaching. The goal is to make a cleaner, more orderly, and more efficient business starting now. if that's something you feel like you want or need help with, we should talk. If not, that's okay too. If you're doing awesome, yay, tell me about it. But if there are times where you feel like clarity and prioritization and purposefulness are missing, I'd love to chat with you about it. This is what I'm good at. These are the places you can find me. Most of you guys are in my group, so I'm just going to show it to you here. Website, Facebook, email. It's the wrong email address. It still works though. And then my LinkedIn profile, which is my favorite place to be besides Facebook. I am so glad y'all were here with me today. Thank you. Thank you for hanging and for being on the webinar. I hope it was useful, because that's really what it's about for me. It's, you know, I was telling a friend earlier today that I was in my head a little bit sometimes. And when I go back to remembering that the whole reason I do this job is for other people to grow and to like grow people, it all makes more sense. So if we can help each other, reach out. If I can do anything for you, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'm so glad you guys were here today. Thanks so much. I know you know that, friend. Bye, y'all. Thanks.